Same nation, same economy, same inflation, same headlines telling everyone that things are getting better. But your life, the actual texture of your days, your choices, your fears, your freedom, is determined almost entirely by one number: your salary. This is your life at every salary level in America, from $20,000 a year to $1 million. And some of what you are about to hear will make you very uncomfortable. Let's begin. $20,000 a year, $9.62 an hour. After taxes, you take home roughly $1,450 a month. Let that sit for a moment. $1,450. In a country where the average rent, the average, not Manhattan, not San Francisco, just the national average, is $2,000 a month. You cannot afford to live alone. Not legally, not safely, not without choosing between rent and food. The 30% rule, the one financial advisors tell you to follow, says you should spend no more than $500 a month on housing. You would need to find a city, a street, a room that does not exist in most of the country. So you have roommates. Maybe you move back in with family. Maybe you are couch surfing between situations, calling it temporary, hoping that word stays true. You do not have an emergency fund. An emergency fund requires surplus. Surplus requires money left over. There is no money left over. A flat tire is a crisis. A medical bill is a catastrophe. A broken phone is a week of genuine stress, because your phone is also your alarm clock, your map, your job application portal, and the only way your employer can reach you to tell you whether you are scheduled tomorrow. $20,000 a year technically puts a single adult above the federal poverty line. Technically. You feel it every single time you scan your groceries and hold your breath until the total appears. This is not a judgment. This is just the math of $20,000 in 2026. The math is brutal. $50,000 a year. The median American worker earns $53,000. So this is the middle. This is, by definition, the average life in the most powerful economy in the world. And here is the truth about the middle. It is tighter than people think. After taxes, you bring home roughly $3,300 a month. Your rent or mortgage takes $1,200 to $1,500 of that. Your car, payment, insurance, gas, takes another $400 or $500. Groceries, utilities, phones, subscriptions. You are doing the math right now, and you already know where this is going. There is money left, but not much. Enough for one vacation a year if you plan it carefully and choose somewhere cheap. Enough to go out to dinner twice a month and feel good about it. Not enough to absorb a genuine financial shock without putting it on a credit card and spending 3 months paying it off. You are not poor. Let that be clear. You are not poor. But you are one emergency away from feeling like it. And that gap between not poor and financially secure is where most Americans spend their entire lives without anyone ever naming it. The median American household income in 2026 is $83,000. At $50,000, you are below the household median. You are living the life that half of this country would look at and say, I know exactly how that feels. $100,000, 6 figures. The number that a generation of Americans was told meant you had made it. Earning $100,000 puts you in the top 18% of individual earners in the United States. You out-earn more than 4 in 5 Americans. And yet $100,000 in 2026 feels nothing like what $100,000 felt like 10 years ago. One study put it plainly: $100,000 today is the equivalent of $60,000 in 2010. Inflation did not ask permission. It just arrived. After taxes, you take home around $5,800 a month. Your rent in a major city, Austin, Denver, Miami, Chicago, easily runs $1,700 to $2,200. Add the car, the insurance, the student loans that a lot of people at this salary are still paying, the groceries that keep getting more expensive regardless of what the official inflation numbers say, and you are comfortable but not free. You are not stressed about buying groceries. That is real. You can absorb a surprise expense without going into debt. That is also real, and it is more than half the country can say. $200,000 a year. Top 6% of individual earners. By any traditional definition, this is upper class. And yet here is a statistic that should stop you cold. According to a Goldman Sachs report from 2025, 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 a year say they are living paycheck to paycheck. You are not at $300,000 yet, but you can already feel the direction this is heading. At $200,000, you take home roughly $10,500 a month after federal taxes. If you live in California or New York, add another 9 to 13% in state income taxes. Your take-home drops to somewhere around $8,500. Do the math again. You are managing well. You are building wealth. You have options that the median American does not. But you are also discovering something that nobody warns you about at this income level. Lifestyle inflation arrives quietly, without permission, and it is almost impossible to reverse once it sets in. $300,000 a year. You earn $150 per hour simply by existing on the clock. By most measures, this is wealthy. Not ultra-wealthy, not generationally secure, but comfortably, undeniably, upper echelon wealthy. Except for one thing that nobody tells you about this income bracket until you are in it. The tax code starts treating you very differently, very aggressively. Your federal rate on the top dollars you earn is 37%. Add state income tax if you live somewhere like California, and you are handing over close to half of every marginal dollar to various levels of government. This is not a complaint. This is arithmetic. Your take-home at $300,000 after federal state, FICA, lands somewhere around $14,000 to $15,000 a month, depending on where you live. That sounds extraordinary because it is. But at this income level, a good CPA is not a luxury. It is one of the best investments you can make. The difference between a mediocre tax strategy and an excellent one at this salary can be tens of thousands of dollars a year. Here is where things start to genuinely shift, though. At this level, you do not check prices in the grocery store. You do not calculate whether you can afford the vacation. The baseline anxieties that occupy 95% of Americans, rent, groceries, medical bills, car repairs, those are gone. $500,000 a year. You are in the top 1% of American earners. By the IRS's own threshold, $450,000 is where the 1% begins. You are past it. And 40% of the people standing exactly where you are, according to Goldman Sachs, still feel like they are living paycheck to paycheck. Read that again. 40% of people earning $500,000 a year, paycheck to paycheck. This is not a mystery. This is lifestyle inflation at full speed. The mortgage is $1.2 million. The private school tuition for 2 children is $90,000 a year, each. The household staff, the second property, the first-class flights that now feel impossible to downgrade from, the charity commitments, the social obligations that come with operating in circles where everything is expensive and opting out feels like opting out of belonging. After taxes in a high-tax state, $500,000 gross becomes roughly $260,000 take-home, $22,000 a month, which sounds like an enormous amount of money until you itemize the life that income requires you to maintain. At $500,000 a year, you are rich by every statistical measure, and yet the feeling of enough, that simple, quiet feeling of enough, can still be remarkably hard to find. Here is the first thing you need to understand. You do not take home $1 million, not even close. Federal income taxes on $1 million salary total $279,000. Your Social Security and Medicare contributions add another $32,000. If you live in California or New York, your state tax bill adds another $90,000 to $130,000 on top. Before a single personal expense, before the mortgage, before the school, before the vacation, the government has already taken $450,000 to $500,000. You take home, on average, around $536,000, which is still an extraordinary amount of money, but it is not $1 million. The person earning $1 million a year is thinking about the same things as the person earning $20,000. Whether they have enough, whether it will last, whether the people they love are going to be okay. The stakes are incomparably different. The math is incomparably different. The options are incomparably different. But the human question underneath all of it, that question is identical. Here is what 8 salary levels and 10 minutes of data actually teach you. More money solves real problems. The jump from 20,000 to 50,000 is the difference between survival and stability. The jump from 50 to 100 is the difference between financial stress and financial breathing room. That is real. That matters enormously. Do not let anyone tell you money does not matter. It does, profoundly. At the lower levels, it matters more than almost anything else in your life. But somewhere around $300,000, something changes. The problems money solves start to become smaller. And the problems money cannot solve start to become louder. Identity, purpose, belonging, time, the things that have no price tag and no salary that purchases them. The median American earns $64,000 a year and works their entire career never touching six figures. The top 10% starts at $155,000. The top 1% starts at $450,000. And somewhere around 647,000 people in this country earn over $1 million annually. Every single one of them started somewhere, and almost none of them, at any level, feel like they have quite arrived. If this made you think differently about the number on your paycheck, you know what to do. See you in the next one.